Welcome to another episode of People with Passion for Pets. It is my pleasure today to introduce you to author Brandon Wainwright, and we'll talk about his book, Tysons Gift, How an 8-Pound Canine Became a Man's Greatest Spiritual Guide. Hello.
Hi.
There you are.
Hi. How are you?
I'm great. Hi, Brandon. Nice to meet you.
Awesome.
The book is so easy to read. I read it, in a day and a half. It's just a beautiful book.
Well,
so very well written. It kind of brought back to me a little bit that because it is a true story, that life really makes the best stories, right? You call him a hero. In fact, on the cover, you have him in a little Superman suit, and you talk about that you gotten him one.
So for me, Tyson, he's my hero. He changed my entire life. Everything about it. And I'm not saying that everything's perfect now. I'm still evolving, but my view on things, my understanding of who I am and what I want to accomplish in this life and what I want to do, the energy that I want to bring to the world he was my greatest teacher. That's why I named the book Tysons Gift, How an 8-Pound Canine Became a Man's Greatest Spiritual Guide, because that's pretty much what he did,
Yeah, and that's kind of it, right? Do you think that it's easier for us to love animals than it is to love people? What was the relationship?
I think with humans, unless it's a child, a young innocent child, there's always, it's just this natural thing to put your guard up and to look for ulterior motives, and trust is a hard thing because we're all hardened by life. We all have these different experiences that make us skeptical of things. And I think most people can also relate to the idea of, with animals, they're innocent, they're pure. And even if they're damaged, they're still pure and you can still trust them. And I think it's easy to open your heart up to an animal because of that. You're not, if you come at them with a loving energy and a loving intent, the love connection, it is much easier than it is with the human. But I don't think it's that animals are more worthy of love than a human. It's just that their role in this plane of existence is different. They have different things that they're dealing with, and in some ways harder, I think, in some ways easier.
And so Tyson's gift to you really has been to open you up, to not just open your heart up to the love of a puppy, but also to open your heart up to understanding more of who you are as a person, and also understanding of what comes after death. Is that right?
Yeah, well, kind of the whole nature of the universe.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of where it starts, because it brings so much peace to know that we are eternal beings having a human existence or earthly existence, but then you want to learn more, and you want to learn about how all this plays out in life, because it's not about what happens after you. That's part of it, is, we live on, but how are you bringing light and peace into the life that you're living now? And it all starts to kind of mingle together over time. And it just brings so much joy and fulfillment. And for me, the other thing about my background, which I talk about in the book, is that I wasn't religious at all. And I tried a number of religions on over the years, and it just never, for me, not that there's anything wrong with religion. I'm not saying that at all, because I think religion can be very good. But it for me, it just never jived. I was never able to believe, and because of that, I couldn't take in the peace that comes with it either. I couldn't take in, the idea of spirituality was kind of an abstract for me. I completely conflated religion and spirituality because that was how it had always been introduced to me. Now, all of a sudden, I had been exposed to a whole different perspective, which is that, no, they're not the same. And spirituality is universal. Whether you acknowledge it or not, we all are spiritual beings having an earthly experience. It's just a fact. All you need to really understand is that we're all divine beings, and we're all connected, and because of that, it gives a whole new meaning to the life that you're living and the life that other people are living around you, the connection that you have with them. But there's not that dogma that goes along with it that can be so difficult to manage.
Yeah. And isn't that really how the animals see their being on Earth, right? It's that they're very open and non-judgmental and open and loving to everyone. So that they really are, a beacon in that area. You talk a lot about in the book, the first part of the book is about his life with you. And he wasn't the perfect dog. He had a lot of different things, and you're very honest about his little antics and how first, I guess the first lesson was you had to really work for his love and get his trust, which is oftentimes, I think, such a gift when we learn that. Obviously, Tyson, the little Chihuahua, comes in your life and changes a lot about how you perceive life. But then after his death, you even more so have to have lessons to learn. So talk a little bit about that. You mentioned you started looking for ways to become more clear what happens after death because you needed to know what happened to Tyson.
Yeah, so that was how it started. Was I worked with some animal communicators and psychics, intuitives. Well, anybody will tell you, any credible intuitive will tell you that they're not 100% accurate ever, and they weren't. The first couple that I worked with actually kind of left me wanting because I was looking for not just the connection but the proof, and I didn't really get that. But the third one though that I did, because I decided it was my last shot. Like I was gonna just walk away and say, well, I guess it's not for me. But then the third one I had was like mind blowing, the level of accuracy and specifics. And what was really crazy about that was, it was a consult over the phone I was in California at the time. She was in Iowa, so it wasn't like she was reading my body language or anything like that. She didn't know anything about me. It just that just blew me away. And then that in turn got me looking even deeper, and I which I talk about in the book. And I had an incredible session with a medium, not an animal communicator, but a regular psychic medium who a lot of times they can work with animals and humans. But Lisa Silverman, she's just incredible. And she's still, I have yet to meet somebody that's more gifted as a medium than she is. And I, when I made contact with my uncle, my grandma, my aunt, and Tyson during that, and 2 hours solid of nothing but specific information. And it just, I walked out in a daze like, oh my gosh, this is real. It was like, in fact, in the book, I call it coffee with loved ones, because it was like sitting down for coffee with loved ones that I hadn't seen in 25 years. It was such a healing experience and so uplifting but it also, it was life-changing because it showed me that this is real. We really do live on. There's more. And it's not a religious thing. It's just reality. And so from there, then I was like, well, no, I want to learn more, and I want to develop my own skills, and that's when I learned Reiki, and eventually became a Reiki master, and that's kind of, for me, that's been that's my natural gift, is the healing, being able to heal, and so far that's my main one. I'm still trying to develop in the other areas too, but the healing is definitely where I have a natural ability.
Now, are you still reaching out to Tyson? Is he still a part of, is that still a conversation that's ongoing, or? Oh
yeah, it's well, and I'll tell you, I'm sure, I know you read the book. So Tyson was a Dachshund Chihuahua mix, 3/4 Chihuahua, quarter Dachshund. And we have our Pepper now, who came to us in I guess it was February 2020. So it was a good time for us because it, before all the chaos. She came to us, and what I will say is that she keeps Tyson's spirit alive every day.
That's wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
won't, I want people to read the book, so I won't go into that aspect of it too much. Because, you know, we don't want to take all of the beautiful things away that are in the book. But yeah, I love that. And I have one of my, I've always had dogs. One of our dogs that's actually on the cover of our book, Keep Your Paws on the Road, the Chesapeake Bay Retriever in the center. His name's Jaeger. And I have a real big connection with him, and I see him, his spirit kind of comes to me in the form of a hummingbird. Jaeger was a Chesapeake Bay Retriever, so he loved the water. He was, I mean, in fact, the book is probably because of Jaeger, because when we went on vacation, we always tried to find some place cool for the dogs to, because he was such a pleasure to watch him run in the ocean and chase the waves, or run down, you know, a river in Montana. And one of my favorite pictures is him just sitting in the glacier waters of, you know, Montana. But so this hummingbird comes, and I'm out here in our yard in Arizona. I was watering a plant with a hose, and this hummingbird comes, and they will come more often than once. He visits me, and he plays in the water. He will actually dive into the water, let the water like take him to the ground. The first time it happened, I was like, oh my God, what happened? This hummingbird's like falling into the water. Then he gets up, he shakes himself off, he sits like close by, and then he comes back in and he keeps playing in the water. It's like this cutest thing. And I'm like, it's Jaeger, it has to be.
Yeah. How cool
So
is
I
that?
absolutely love that. Yeah. So yeah, very special.
Yeah. They definitely, it's just an example, you know. I think one of the things that's very difficult, but it's necessary, and it's critical in your growth, is trusting to, you know, when you, like for you, you have that experience, you intuitively know it's him, and you know, not just intellectually, but you can feel the energy, you know, you can tell that it's him. Well, a lot of people will just poo-poo that, right? And they'll just brush it off. Well, I think one of the advantages to, as you're opening up and you're going through this process, is to have, you know, a credible intuitive to work with, because they, you know, they're seeing it objectively, first of all, and they're trusting what they're getting, but they're giving you information that's like, you know, it gives it a certain level. The trust factor isn't there as much because it's coming from somebody else. It's harder to trust yourself sometimes than it is to trust somebody else, I've found. Don't minimize the benefit of working with an intuitive in that, you know, in those situations, even when you know, like, you know it's him. But if you went and did a consult and had somebody reinforce that for you, it would give it a whole new weight. And so for me, that was so very helpful.
Yes, and then you spoke earlier in regards to, you know, coffee with your family, understanding that we all have our life experiences, and some of your family, they've had some struggles. Some of them had passed in some, you know, sad ways. But to know that it's okay, that they're on the other side. And I think oftentimes that's the closure people need. And I think that those are oftentimes the people that could really have beneficial experiences, like you're saying, by talking to somebody that can, you know, speak for the people that have crossed over, and to just hear we're okay. And, you know, yes, that was dramatic when I was going through it, but that lifetime is done, and I'm okay. And you know, underlying all of it. Yeah.
And not even just okay, but like flourishing, like doing great. You know, I mean, there's a lot of stereotypes and stigmas that go, you know, for people, you know, the gypsy with the turban and the, you know, and there's also charlatans out there that diminish the credibility of all intuitives. But the reality is that there are people that are legitimate, talented, caring, very connected people that can offer so much healing. And for Lisa, for example, Lisa Silverman, like I said, she's the most talented medium I've ever worked with or seen. And not that I'm like an expert or anything, I'm still learning, but I've been around enough at this point to know that she's really special. This was meant to bring me into a new stage of life and to help spread the word about this stuff. If you feel compelled to try this stuff out, if like, for example, in my book, there's some examples. I think if you read books about this, a lot of times there'll be examples of working to intuitives that are actively practicing that you can connect with, and have a very healing experience. Whereas, you don't necessarily want to just go to the next person you see on the street with
Just
the neon
Google
light in their house.
it.
Yeah, I mean, not that they're. I mean, sometimes, yeah, you might get lucky. You might. I have connected with people that way too. They turned out to be incredible.
Sure.
Yeah,
and we had, and I'll link it too. We have a beautiful medium and animal communicator, Charles Peden, who's right here in Tucson, Arizona, who can communicate and find lost animals, and has helped many times, because as an animal communicator, they're not just communicating to those who have passed, as I'm sure, but for our audience, but they're also talking to the living. And he can help people with behavior issues. He's helped people with lost pets. So it's really incredible. But for really you, Brandon, is. I want to know, at what point did you decide you had to write the book?
Well, with what I was going, so the other thing I didn't talk about was I was a police officer. I just recently retired from it, just the last few months. But I was the last person that you would expect to have all these experiences, and it was such a life-changing thing. And if you didn't already get that from what I've said, but I was just like, man, that my story, I want to tell other people about it, because it's brought me so much peace and growth. And I would love, it's just such an interesting story. I thought it would make a good book. So it was in my head. The idea of writing the book was there. And the other thing is, I talk about this in the book too, but I also was a filmmaker. I worked that was my first career pursuit, was making movies. I worked in LA and Hollywood and that stuff. And I also thought this could make a good movie too. But it was more just an idea. Like the part of me that was kind of, I don't know, overly humble was like, who'd want to read my story? I mean, we've all had experiences. Most people have had these types of metaphysical experiences. They just don't talk about them. Is it really going to be that compelling to people? And the other thing was that when I was in this process, I had in these animal communication sessions, every one of them I had more or less begged Tyson to come back because I missed him so much, And I thought, well, what good would a story like this be if he's not back? Where's the punchline? Who's going to care about all these experiences? And I had a session with an intuitive, and she saw very clearly that the book was already there to be written. And she actually said, I told her, well, I'm going to write this book, but I'm going to wait for Tyson to come back first. And she was very decisive about, oh no, she says no, that's book 2. You've already got everything you need to write this book. You need to do it. Like, and it was she was so like, just, blunt about it, and she had already she'd gained my trust and said a bunch of other things in the session that were like, yeah, she's the real deal. I'd also been told by my first Reiki teacher, she asked me if I had been considering writing the book, and I hadn't talked to her about it at all. And she asked me, and I said, well, yeah. And she goes, because I think it's a big deal that you write this book. A part of your life mission is to write this book. And so I felt a certain responsibility.
Brandon, in the book, you share a lot of very personal experiences from your childhood. And again, I don't want to give everything away from the book, but my question to you is, was that a healing experience for you too? Because it took some courage, I'm sure, to put those in the book.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I was aware that Tyson was helping, like I talk about that in the book, is that I knew he was helping me heal from these childhood events. But yeah, writing about them definitely brought them back to life and helped me to, kind of went through a healing, cathartic process. So yeah, I mean, more deliberate, definitely more like I'm having to really process this. And but it also put a spotlight on how much Tyson helped me. It really helped me to go to revisit that and understand it and appreciate him and honor him for that gift that he gave me. So yeah, I think the whole thing was a cathartic experience writing the whole, but a lot of times I found myself laughing as I was writing because it was so fun reliving his antics. And the hardest part for me was after he died. Up until that point, the book just was fun to write because it was reminiscing. I'm going to write a sequel too, but that's, like you said, sometimes the best books are the ones that are real life, and they're so I'm waiting for the material to unfold so I can write the second one, which
That's awesome.
It's definitely unfolding.
So Brandon, for our audience, you have a website. Is it tysonsgift.com? Is that correct?
That's right. It's tysonsgift.com, tysonsgift.com. That'll take you to the website. You can read about us. There's pictures on there and such. If you can, on the homepage, you can click, it'll take you to where you can purchase it. If I know it's on Amazon, but you can go to barnesandnoble.com, you can Google it, and they'll give you other places you can purchase it. On Amazon, you can get it. It's on audiobook. You can get audiobook, ebook, or paperback. It's on Audible as well as iTunes if you prefer to listen to.
That's awesome. And then I noticed when I went to your website that you also donate in Tyson's honor.
But yes, I'm going to donate a portion of the profits
thank you for that.
To shelters. And if people feel compelled to reach out to me, you can email me through the website and I respond. I don't have so much fan mail that I can't keep up with it. so honestly,
anybody that wants to connect with you, of course, we'll be sure to share all your links in the description below so that people can easily find you and connect with you. Yeah.
And I appreciate it because, I've had a number of people reach out to me and tell me that it really helped them. And that's it warms my heart. It makes it all worth it to know that our story is getting out there and helping people. That's the whole point.
Yeah, I can definitely highly recommend it to anybody that's a dog lover, anybody that loves, to find out more about the afterlife. But it's just a great read. It's really a wonderful story.
Well, thank you so much. It means a lot to hear people say that they enjoyed it.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you for all that you do.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us today on People with Passion for Pets. We're Jim and Bee Walker. And until next time, keep your paws on the road.